that's precisely what's exasperating the White House press corps.
What is it that the Uzbekis can do in interrogations that the United States of America can't do?
Well, first of all, if you're asking me to talk about specific intelligence matters, you know that I'm not going to do that. But
in general,
what
is it that this country, the most advanced in national security matters of any country in the world, cannot accomplish in interrogations that the nation of Uzbekistan can?
Again, you're asking me to get into specific matters, and I'm not going to do that because of the classified nature of our intelligence.
The standard answer, but even the president seemed to choke on it.
Can you explain why you've approved of and expanded the practice of what's called rendition, of transferring individuals out of U.S. custody to countries where human rights groups and your own State Department say torture is common for people in custody?
Post 9/11 world, the United States must make sure we protect our people and our friends from attack.
So, more torture for Binyam Mohammed, the British resident from Kensal Rise who'd been arrested in Karachi for travelling on his friend's passport after visiting Afghanistan. His brother, the doctor, has his account.
I was transferred to the torture zone, which is different from the reception zone.
His is one of the few detailed testimonies to have come through the wall of censorship in Guantanamo. Binyam Mohammed's account is unequivocal. 2 extraordinary renditions, one to Morocco, one to Afghanistan, with severe psychological and physical torture in both.
The United States does not permit,
This country does not believe in torture.
tolerate,
We do not condone torture.
or condone torture
We don't believe in torture.
under any circumstances.
We do not torture.
We do believe in protecting ourselves.
Your government has said repeatedly, we do not torture. We do not send people to be tortured.
Right.
That's a lie, isn't it?
I can't comment on it, but I don't. It's a tricky. It's not a tricky question. They shouldn't send people to be tortured. If they did, it's wrong, and that has to be brought out. And I don't know of any specific case where someone said, send this person there to be tortured.
Tricky question. I don't think so, and nor does Canada.
Canada is launching an official protest against the United States over the Meher Arar case.
Meher Arar, the Syrian-born Canadian arrested in New York 4 years ago, accused of links to terrorism, deported to Syria and tortured, exonerated fully this year after a lengthy inquiry back in Canada.
It's no secret that Meher Arar was tortured in Syria and that he was rendered there from the United States, stopping en route in Rome on Mr. Drumheller's watch.
The struggle to clear my name has been long and hard.
Thanks to his wife, Arar was freed. The Canadians acknowledge they gave the CIA false intelligence against him, a blunder now costing their taxpayer 11 million Canadian dollars, a lot considering Canada's minor role.
What I would like to see is, obviously, the United States government come clean with its version of events, to acknowledge, I would hope to acknowledge the deficiencies and the inappropriate conduct that occurred in this case.
Washington has refused. The Americans are treating it as a non-event. Isn't he entitled to some compensation from the U.S. government who did that to him?
I don't think so, no. That's my opinion. That's my opinion.
So?
Yeah.
It was on your watch.
Sure.
You were head of the CIA in Europe.
Right.
The plane landed in Rome.
Right. Well, I don't know. That's what they say. I can't comment on that.
The world is closing in on the CIA renditions program. Flight logs show planes have landed in 29 different countries. 300 CIA landings in Europe alone. Hard to keep that secret for long, but Europe's governments are still trying, still denying they're involved.
I think the Spanish authorities knew that there were flights from Palma to Guantanamo. Clearly, businessmen don't fly to Guantanamo. I don't suppose the authorities investigated. They just preferred to keep quiet and turn a blind eye to what was going on right under their noses, which was they were kidnapping citizens.
Now, around Europe, there's a power struggle between governments and the law. In Spain, judges are investigating what their government knew. In Italy, 25 CIA agents are wanted for kidnapping, and a former head of military intelligence is in the dock, with the Italian government accused of a cover-up.
I think that what happened in Italy happened in all the other states. There was one or other service in each of the countries involved which collaborated with or without the knowledge of their governments.
In Germany, the car dealer Khaled El-Masri, who was dumped in the Albanian forest after his kidnap to Afghanistan, has now been declared an innocent man by a German parliamentary inquiry. And prosecutors there have issued arrest warrants for the CIA rendition crew who kidnapped and assaulted him after their break in Mallorca. But he's had no help after his ordeal, and he fears he's losing his mind. The German government denies it, but he's convinced they were in league with the CIA.
The German government is really quite strange. They say they are not involved, but I have a lot of questions. I find a lot of things simply incomprehensible.
Like if his government really knew nothing, who was the German interrogator in his Afghan prison who called himself Sam?
I said, you know who I am, but I don't know you. Are you a German official? He paused, spoke briefly to his American colleague, and then told me he couldn't answer my question. I then asked if German officials knew I was there. He said, I can't answer that question either.